Hi, everyone. My name is Rochelle Watson, and today I will be discussing with you the recent controversy over social and emotional learning in education. But before we dive into that, I think it's important to define what exactly is social and emotional learning. So CASEL, or the Collaborative for Academic, Social, and Emotional Learning, which is the leading organization in social and emotional learning today, defines SEL as the process through which all young people and adults acquire and apply the knowledge, skills, and attitudes to develop healthy identities, manage emotions, and achieve personal and collective goals, feel and show empathy for others, establish and maintain supportive relationships, and make responsible and caring decisions. So that's the definition of SEL, but what's the history? What's the background? I mean, we can see that the concept of social and emotional learning has really existed since the time of Greek philosophers, with philosophers such as Plato really incorporating moral judgment and character building as important parts of curriculum. And we can see that that has translated even into the foundation of our public education system, who wanted to focus on the development of the whole child, not just their academic trajectory. And then really trying to incorporate social and emotional learning in a hands-on way didn't really take place until the New Haven School Development Program opened in the late 1960s. And it really became the center of research for social and emotional learning. They saw a lot of positive effects coming out of intentional strategies in the classroom, teaching these skills to students. And then we see in the early 90s how the term social and emotional learning entered the formal lexicon in the educational world. And the organization CASEL, Collaborative for Academic, Social, and Emotional Learning, was founded, which again is the main organization today that does research around social and emotional learning, provides curriculum, provides implementation and strategies, and is really a big proponent for social and emotional learning in public education. And then in 1995, a year later, social and emotional learning really entered the mainstream with the publication of Daniel Goleman's book, Emotional Intelligence: Why It Can Matter More Than the IQ. And we can see that this really put it on the map for educators and psychologists and even parents to begin discussing the concept of emotional intelligence. And it really helped form this partnership between educators and psychologists to research together and to better understand the implications of social and emotional development and competence. And now today, many boards of education in various countries outside of the United States have implemented social and emotional learning into their approved curriculum. Some of the overarching goals of social and emotional learning are to teach critical life skills that aid in personal development as well as academic performance, to create a caring school environment, to initiate a chain reaction of positive interactions, and to form a culture of mutual respect between teachers and students, and then also to motivate teachers and students to be their best self. And then again, that organization CASEL provides this really great framework. They refer to it as the CASEL wheel for understanding the basic intentions of social and emotional learning and how they want it implemented into a community. You can see that centered around social and emotional learning are those 5 pieces of pie: self-management, responsible decision-making, relationship skills, social awareness, and self-awareness. And then there are key skills underneath each of those pieces of pie. But you can see how the intention is not just to have that incorporated in the classroom, but it's really to foster a relationship between the classroom and the school itself, and between the school administration and the family of those students, and then also into the community at large, the community that passes those policies within school districts about what curriculum will be incorporated and what funding will go towards what programs. So we can really see that social and emotional learning is intended to be not just bound to the classroom, but extended into the community at large. And so what are the effects of social and emotional learning? We can see what the intentions are, but has it been effective? And the research would indicate, yes, it has been. There have been hundreds of studies done, and these are just some of the results of those studies. They have seen an increase in academic performance. They have seen improved classroom behavior. They've seen that students are better able to manage their stress and their depression. Students tend to have a more positive outlook on themselves, on others, and in general, just about school. They have seen it be effective with various demographic groups, both in and outside of the United States. In those long-term studies, they have seen higher levels of well-being long-term. Those adults that were exposed to social and emotional learning as adolescents continue to have higher rates of well-being as adults, which has in turn formed a reduction in societal costs for public assistance, public housing, police involvement, and detention. So if we see that it's effective, it's positive in the classroom, why has there been this recent controversy over social and emotional learning? And one of the main reasons that it has gained social attention in recent months is a lot of school districts have received public funding from the government to help offset the negative outcomes of the pandemic. And many of those districts have chosen to use that funding towards social and emotional learning programs, causing it to come under more public scrutiny. And some of the critics of social and emotional learning are concerned that these schools should be spending that money on academic programs to get their children caught back up with the post-pandemic effects. Some see social and emotional learning as primarily a family responsibility, not something a school should be concerning itself with. And others are concerned that controversial topics such as critical race theory and comprehensive sex education are being implemented under social and emotional learning content. And those families may feel like the schools are actively undermining their more conservative teachings at home. And along with social and emotional learning curriculums, some programs have provided emotional screenings for students to better understand what students' needs are right now. And many parents feel like that's an invasion of their students' privacy, concerned that that information will be used for data mining, will be sold to other companies who will in turn use that information in ways that are not going to help their student personally, but are going to be sold for financial gain. Proponents of social and emotional learning argue that implementing social and emotional learning post-pandemic will actually aid in catching students back up quicker academically than only focusing on academics. Teachers have witnessed a significant reduction in behavioral issues and conflicts within their own classrooms after implementing social and emotional learning. And even prior to the pandemic, there have been higher rates of anxiety and depression among youth, indicating a high need for those students to be exposed to tools and resources to better manage their mental health. So some possible implications of this controversy is that social and emotional learning curriculum will continue to be rejected or removed from school districts who are worried about the political affiliation with some of those controversial topics. Another implication is that that curriculum is instilling political ideologies that contradict some family belief systems, and that there is no option really to have their child opted out of those teachings, because social and emotional learning is designed to be implemented throughout all curricula throughout the day in the classroom. It's not its own topic or subject that is set aside. So there really is no option to remove your child from those teachings. However, completely removing social and emotional learning from the classroom will not give any resources or tools for those students who are struggling with depression and anxiety and other mental health issues. And as we have seen, there is a high need for those tools to be taught in the classroom. Right now, the leader of CASEL, that organization that is a big proponent of social and emotional learning, is pushing for greater transparency with the curriculum and what it entails, to acknowledge those parental concerns, but to also allow social and emotional learning to continue to take place inside the classroom. However, even that has some concerns with allowing more transparency can come with the fear of more censorship, the impediment of free speech, especially for teachers in the classroom who don't feel like they have the freedom to teach the way they need to teach to be effective. Why this is important to me is because I have a child who will be entering school in this following year. And I personally believe that social and emotional learning is incredibly important to teach to our children, and especially those students who may not be exposed to any sort of teaching about social and emotional learning inside their home. The school is really the only place that they're going to learn those tools to have those life skills they need to manage their emotional well-being and to feel set up for success in their adult life. However, I am concerned about some of the content that is being introduced under social and emotional learning. I would like to have more transparency about what it is that's being implemented in the classroom for different grade levels, for kindergarten, for first grade through fifth grade. How does that vary? And what are the requirements for each school district? And how does that vary even teacher to teacher? I would appreciate that transparency. And I would appreciate the option to remove my child from some of those teachings if I don't feel comfortable with what they're being taught at that age level. I see that this is an issue that is complex. There are many sides to it, and I think it will continue to be a topic of discussion in education for this following year, as well as many other very big issues in education. So, thank you.